Welcome to the Home of Misfits podcast, where normal is optional, masks are unnecessary, and you belong. Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Home of Misfits, where masks are optional, unnecessary, normal is optional. There we go. Normal is optional, masks are unnecessary, and you belong. One of these days I get that right. But hey, today is not the day, apparently. So, anyway, I'm excited today. I have a new friend here, and he hails all the way from Australia. This is exciting. It's like you're my second, like, international guest. I'm so excited. So this is Chet Taylor, and oh my gosh, tell us a little bit about you. Who are you beyond the titles and the roles, and what is something that life has taught you lately?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm just trying to get into the room. Had a bit of an episode with our dog about an hour ago. So yeah, that experience has taught me that every moment is so important. And I know it's so cliche, but every moment that we have, life happens in moments. And I know they're sayings and we read it all the time, but it really does. You know, life can change so quickly for anybody out there who's experienced life happening,
Hmm.
changing so quickly. And I think it's really about looking around and not getting to not putting all our effort into getting to there, just trying to be here.
Right. And and it's so, I mean, because now is really all we have. This very moment is all we have. And I tell all my clients too, it's like right now you are the most powerful you'll ever be. Because right now you have full control over what you think, what you do, I mean, everything. And it's just we tend to forget because we get so bogged down with the past, mistakes we made in the past, with things we wish we would have done different, da 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 da, or we worry about the future, you
Hmm.
know, but we're
Which
never
is
really here.
anxiety and depression summed up right there.
All right. So it's like, no, right now. Right now. It's like I told a friend the other day, she's like, oh my gosh, I'm struggling. How do you make it? And I said, I tell myself right now in this moment, I'm great.
And I think it is about just doing and worrying about the consequences later in a way. And I
Mm-hmm.
don't want anybody to go and rob a bank and say, Chad said on the podcast, I should just do and worry about the consequences later. But I think a
Right.
bit I've never really thought about that I couldn't do something. I've just done it. And I think I've always, in a way, been successful or successful to get me to the next place that I am destined to get to. I think we put
Mm-hmm.
so much effort on trying to worry about making things perfect that, and knowing there is no perfection.
Right. I mean, perfect is an illusion.
And
Perfect.
I think for something to American Indians say, for something to be perfect, it needs to be imperfect. That when they sew a blanket,
Oh,
you
like
living
me,
over there,
perfectly imperfect.
yeah, they sew an imperfection in a perfect blanket because they say it's not perfect until it has an imperfection in it.
That is true. No, I love, and it is true. And it's like, but we're so conditioned by society to chase that unachievable perfect image of whatever. But it's like you ask 10 different people about what's perfect to them, and or about even one thing what's perfect, and you get 10 different views.
And even that, it's all an illusion because I think once they got it, then I think what would happen with our minds, the way our minds have designed now in 2026, that I don't think we'd be able to enjoy that perfect minute because then it would always be, oh, but imagine if
Right,
this
but it
was
could
on
be
top of,
better.
yeah, imagine if this was on top of
Right.
this, the current situation we're in. And I think, which I understand, it's part of the human condition to try and want more because it means survival. Winning really means survival.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure you talk about this stuff a lot, but a lot of the stuff that we do, it's back to the fight, flight, freeze, and it's back to that instinctual brain, which is I
Mm-hmm.
write a lot about that in my book, and I do a lot of that with my clients. That most of our issues fall back to that social, sexual, and security instinct that we don't even really realize we're acting from.
Right. Yeah, I call it groupthink.
Mm.
It's like you fall into that groupthink. Because it's easier and it's acceptable and whatever, and it feels safe, but it really isn't. But anyway, so I love your hat, by the way. Um, and you talk a lot about it, that oh fuck thing. It's me. It's like, what was the first moment that sentence became real instead of just a clever phrase?
Oh, probably the biggest moment for me, I think, was when I was seeing my mentor, and I was just at the end of towards the end of a relationship, and complaining obviously about that it was all the other person. But
Mm-hmm.
meanwhile, still probably complaining about a previous relationship that had ended 6 years earlier. And there was just these moments that were, I almost wanted to tell him to fuck off because he was pushing so hard into the unconscious, or he was pushing so hard into that secondary awareness part of me that I couldn't see. And
Mm-hmm.
there was a few little moments, little comments like, "Do you know you got exactly what you asked for, didn't you? You know that not many. He doesn't use the word manifested, but you know that you are the common denominator here." And those things had been,
That hits
I think,
different, doesn't it?
yes, it's different to. I think I'd always done a bit of it because being in Alcoholics Anonymous and being in addiction recovery since such a young age, since 22 years old, I think I'd sort of worked the 12 steps to the best of my ability. But I also think that I really never understood that it's really about understanding these exact natures on why we do things. It's in AA they talk about doing a moral inventory and finding out the exact nature of those issues. And I think I
Mm-hmm.
never really, and I don't think many people do because I think it's a real skill to have a teacher or a therapist or a mentor or a coach or to be able to and to trust them enough that when they poke around in the unconscious that you're actually you feel safe enough for that to happen because it's a fearful thing. So yeah, so to answer your question, the first I think I'd had glimpses of it, but I think the first time was maybe 10 years ago or a bit more ago, where it was really like, fuck, there's actually for the first time in my life, there's no narrative and there's no one to blame,
Mm.
and I have created this, and I wouldn't say I need to get myself out of it because I also respect that without that, I'm not here with you right now. So it was maybe that maybe the suffering or maybe the event or the suffering, the lesson inside of that is necessary to get me to the next point.
Right. And that's hard. I mean, when it hits you like that, and it's like, oh man, and that's part of the of society. I mean, we're so conditioned. It's okay to blame everybody and their mama, and put responsibility away from you. It's like, oh, it was my upbringing. It was that. It was your fault. It was that fault. It was da 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 da. And it's like, but at the end of the day, it's your responsibility because you're the one reacting.
Exactly. And I think the family, I suppose the histrionic stuff we go through, I do think, and I'm sure you share that same mindset that it does need to be processed and it does need to be understood and it does need to be worked through. But I also think there's also then for me a lot of compassion that needs to come. And this
Hmm.
is being a therapist and seeing a lot of clients. There's two types of people in the world. There's nothing to see here. Childhood was great, or there's have we only got an hour?
That is so true.
And I think somewhere in the middle is like not going in and I sort of say, look, we're not poking around in your childhood to make your parents look bad or to make something out of nothing. But whether we like it or not, our environment, we know that whether it's a plant or a dog or a goldfish or it doesn't really matter what it is, even food, it doesn't really matter. The more I think about it, furniture that doesn't get cleaned, like environment is everything. And I'm
Right.
sure, again, I'm not telling you anything you don't know. It's just my way of saying it that environment is everything. If we
Hmm.
went, if me and you went and got two pups, you got one and I got one from a litter of dogs, and then we met back up in 2 years' time at the dog park, I would dare say we've got two completely different dogs.
Right.
They might look the same and they might have the same sort of features, but by nature, one might be well trained, one might be. We're going to
Not.
have two different. Yeah, exactly. Not. We're going to have two different. We're going to have two different um, experiences of that same litter of dogs. And I think
Right.
someone from Austria that I've done a few podcasts with, Phil, he's such a good dude. If you ever get him on, what's his? I'll send you his link. Philip
Okay,
Cobold, I
cool.
think his name is. But he
Nice.
says, I love the way he says it. We're half animal and we're half divine. That I think we've forgotten that we're animals.
Right.
And I also think we've forgotten that we're divine. I think we
Right.
think that we almost
Well,
think
we
that
think we're
we're
all this in a bag of chips. I tell you that.
separate to nature. We've got
Right.
nature and then we've got human nature. So we've even removed ourselves from nature in our own mind. And
Mm-hmm.
that's, yeah,
No,
I guess
yeah,
the way I work is trying to integrate that back in
I love
of,
that.
yeah,
I mean,
sometimes when
and
we're
it's so
looking out the
important
window.
to find that balance, it's like so many, I mean, we're so conditioned to it's either or. It's either this or that. No, it's not. There's an and. There's like that in between. You just have to find the balance. One does not negate the other, in my opinion.
Yeah, and everything's an end.
Hmm. So
I
what
think
was
everything.
harder, getting sober or becoming honest with yourself?
Good question. If you had to
Right?
ask me, if you had to ask me when I was 22, I would have said getting sober. But now along the journey, yeah, I think there's a lot of people in addiction recovery in any area that has gotten over that maybe main addiction or primary addiction, we'll call it, that was the problem, and then the transference has just gone to so many other places that the
Hmm.
honesty still isn't there. Like I've been a workaholic. I've been into drag like racing cars, which it was an obsession. It had gone past passion and it had become obsession or addiction.
Right.
There's a lot of places, but I would justify it. Oh, I don't drink. Oh, I did this. I did that in my life. Therefore,
Hmm.
it's okay for me to be doing this because I'm not partaking in the primary addiction that I'm in recovery from. So I
Right.
think, yeah, definitely getting honest because the thing with getting honest is the work never stops.
Right.
Like I could come on here and I see this a lot in AA, NA, places like that, or even coaches. Doesn't really matter. We like to tell the story about what it was like, and I think that's good to uh, what's the word I'm looking for? I guess give a story or give a narrative, but it's a lot about what it was like, what it was like, what it was like, telling all these war stories, and then I got sober, and now I'm the president of the bank. Like there's not
Hmm.
much about so getting honest for me is continually what could have I done better an hour ago?
Right.
What
Well,
could have
and,
I
and
done?
and I agree with you because it's like if you're not becoming honest with yourself, and yeah, you might get sober here, but then you start a different addiction there. It's just you're still deflecting from the core issue that's really going on, I think.
Mm, yeah, and I think we're all addicted to the way we see the world. Richard
Right.
Raw says that. I love him. Little ex Catholic monk who started ROHR is his last name. He's got the Center for Action and Contemplation, and he
Mm-hmm.
really talks a lot about this. That he's really unpacked the 12 steps of AA and NA, and he's written books and
Oh, nice.
audio books and stuff on the primary addiction we have in the world is addicted to our way of thinking. So all of us could do with a program like that because we
Well, it's
are
our
addicted.
thinking or avoiding thinking, period.
Yes.
That's another issue. That's a whole nother show.
But even then, that becomes an addiction in itself. If we're avoiding thinking, then
Right.
we are addicted to whatever we're using in a substitute to avoid
Mm-hmm.
thinking.
No, I'm with you, and it's like in my own journey, it's like once I stopped stepping out of that victimhood, and then started taking responsibility and really taking a look in the mirror, and I was like, oh man, it's like, girl, we've got some work to do, and it never ends. It's because it's like you do one, and then it's like, oh wait, but there's more.
And there's liberation in that.
Oh, there is much.
Liberation. I didn't even really know what the word liberation meant until I went and looked up the dictionary, but it's in a lot of the literature that I read through And freedom from bondage of self. Really, liberation is to
Mm-hmm.
be freed from something. And I think it's so freeing to be freed from that unconscious or subconscious thinking of our mind, because a lot smarter people than me have done so much study on this stuff, like Joe Dispenza and all these guys, that saying things like 95% of what we do is subconscious or unconscious programming by the time we're 35. So we're
Yep.
running around on autopilot and wondering why we're feeling the way we're feeling, when at best 5% of what we're doing is aware. And that is the problem right there.
Mm-hmm. No, I mean, and I agree, and I had to laugh, and it's like, when everybody was so afraid of zombies and da 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 da, and I'm laughing, kind of like, it's like, there are so many zombies here they don't even realize they are, because they're just like on, like you said, that autopilot, that non-thinking, that just existing, going through the motions and doing all of that, and it's like that is, to me, is the definition of a zombie.
Mm, yes.
Yeah.
And being fed by, this is the problem as well. We're not being fed on, I suppose, other people's flesh as a zombie. I was thinking more of a vampire then, feeding blood. We're feeding on this unconscious, and I think the world allows us to really perpetuate that even more because of social media, because of our algorithm feeds, because of we can always find a way to be right. Like this righteousness, this justified,
Right.
right? Justified being right is a drug. It is a drug in itself. Being right is a drug. And I write that exact sentence in my book multiple times. Because
I like that.
and then you could tell me that, oh, let's just use a big topic. You could tell me that God isn't real, and I could tell you that God is real, and both of us are just coming from our own perspective. But then if there was $2 million on the line, we could go off for 2 years and come
Oh
back
yeah.
together with all our information. And
Hmm.
then by the end of this debate, and because there's $2 million on the line, one of us, both of us wanting to kill the other person, because how could you be so stupid not to be able to see all this information that I'm presenting you?
Yep.
Therefore, you've got the same amount of information
Hmm.
on the other side. And I think this is the world. We still see it today, with craziness in the world, viruses and lockdowns and just
Well, I
craziness.
started telling people, it's like discussions like that, because it's like, I might get involved for a little bit, but then honestly, it bores me to tears, because, it's like, whatever. And I tell people, it's like, here's the thing that I've learned: whatever you believe to be true is true for you. Doesn't mean it's true for me, and what's true for me doesn't mean it's true for you. But
Mm,
whatever you believe to be true is true for you.
yeah.
And they can't really argue with that, and then the discussion is over, and I can move on.
Mm,
Well, the other thing I say a lot is like, not wrong,
always wrong.
not wrong. So just like the first time I told my husband, it's like, you're not wrong. He goes like, so you're saying I'm right? I said, I didn't say you're right. I'm just saying you're not wrong. He said, well, if I'm not wrong, I'm right. I said, no, not necessarily. You're just not wrong.
Mm.
So yeah.
And how much do we really know? Any of us?
Oh
We
my gosh,
speak
we
like,
know nothing. I mean, here's the thing. I mean, we think we know a lot, but it's like I just had this discussion with a friend of mine, and she also is into the metaphysical and everything, and we both agree, it's like, we've learned a lot, and then we're like, oh, this is so cool, and then it's like, as soon as we thought we figured it out, a whole nother portal opens, which opens up a whole nother realm of questions and everything, and then we realize, it's like, you know what, we know nothing.
mm.
We know nothing. We
And
think we're
something could
so
happen
clever.
and come in and debunk. Imagine being a scientist in the late 1800s or early 1900s at the peak of changing from Newtonian science to almost quantum mechanics or quantum theory,
Right?
that things are 99.9% matter. And we couldn't just be a little bit wrong. They're not like, oh, okay, we got that 10% wrong. It's like 180 degrees. Now they're saying that everything in the universe is 99.9% empty space if we're talking about metaphysics. So people would have died at the end of that Newtonian science and still out there. They still teach it
Oh
in
yeah.
schools. They teach more about Newtonian science in schools here in Australia than what they do about quantum theory or quantum mechanics, which it's almost like the quantum mechanics tells us, frees us from that prison, right? That frees us from that slavery of the collective. So we don't want to, they don't want to be taught about quantum mechanics and quantum theory, or that in a way you who says you have to have two and a half dogs and three kids and pay a mortgage off for the rest of your life? Who actually says that? Well,
Right.
it's in yeah, it's in their best interest
Mm-hmm.
that we
Yeah,
do.
it's I was like I call it a mind fuck, but hey, that's me. I'm okay with that. So you help people stop blaming outward. What did you use to blame before you started looking inward? Or who did you use to blame?
Every single thing on a daily basis. Exactly what we've just spoke about. I
Right.
blame the person in the car. The classic example is when you start to become more aware of yourself rather than just blaming everybody else. The classic example for me are things like where I could be driving to work today and I'm running early, which is rare for me because if I've got 10 minutes spare, I'll always fill it with four jobs that I've got to get done, and then I'm 10 minutes late, and then I'm kicking myself on the way.
Those damn
And I'm sure
squirrels, man, I tell you.
I know you know the exact story of it, around that in the mind, but the day that I am early and I'm not in a rush, and all of a sudden someone driving behind me is up there and they're trying to overtake and doing all this crazy behaviour, and I could be 10 kilometres under the speed limit, and then they overtake me, and in my mind, fucking jackass or idiot or whatever I want to call them, and then majority of us, we will then tell the story when we get to wherever. Oh, and then I was driving, and then you should have seen this fucking idiot in this white car. But then I might have been doing 10 or 15 kilometers under the speed limit because it's not a priority. My awareness isn't on shit. I've got to do exactly the speed limit today because I've got to get there and I'm running late. But then tomorrow, I am the idiot in the white car. My car's not white, but I am that idiot because
Right.
I haven't left enough time, and you're doing 10 or 15 kilometers slower than the speed limit. And I think it's just little things like that that we blame. I generally drink, I'll drink oat milk or some, like, and I go to the shop for a coffee, and I'm like, oh, can I have an oat latte?
Hmm.
Sorry, we've run out of oat. We've got soy, we've got lactose free, we've got full cream, we've got light, we've got coconut, we've got almond, and I'm almost, how fucking dare you? Like, I
Well, I
just
mean,
want my oat latte, and even though it's all about me.
right. No, I get, and you know the one thing is like when we drive and we have somebody that's irritating us when we're driving, and then it's like we unleash all our fury on that person and we go rant and rave for like what, 10, 15, 20 minutes or whatever, and not just let everything out. And it's like, but it's really not about that person. It's like whatever was built up. And it's like and I told my husband, I said, why are you giving all your energy away? But I used to be that way. I'm the first one to admit it's like, when driving, it's like unleash all of that until I realized, I was like, wait a minute, what's going on here? And taking that responsibility, and now I'm driving and I just laugh, I'm like, oh, you poor schlup.
Mm. I think it comes back to fear a lot of the time. I think it comes back to fear. It comes back to fear or pride.
Yep.
There's either two things I think that get drivers angry in the car and frustrated. Is fear number one, and probably fear and pride number one. I don't know which one's which, depending that is
Right.
my piece of road or that is my car park.
But sometimes I really think it has nothing to do with that person that pissed you off on the road.
Mm,
It has to do with something that happened like 3 days ago with your family or at work or whatever that was festering and just never got released,
mm.
I think. So, but anyway, so what's something that you still catch yourself doing even after all the work, training, and awareness?
Justifying my behavior.
Hmm.
Justifying my behavior. If I've been overtired and say I've spoken a little bit off to my partner or to my daughters, it's almost like there's a little bit of awareness, but then there's not in that moment, there's not quite enough of what I
Yet.
need. So then
Right.
therefore I'll justify it. And I think this happens a lot where we do this work and the awareness then gets hijacked by the egocentricity again, or we'll call it the black wolf inside of us, the false self, the subconscious programming. Yeah, so I think that is one for me where, and what I've been working on recently with myself and clients is just such a simple thing. And I'm sure, we've all got tools, and I don't really like that word. We've all got ways of changing. I don't like the word tools, but they are different models of thought. But changing the but to an end and flipping things around. So, how I would explain it to a client, if I've said to my partner, I'm really sorry for speaking to you like that, but I'm really tired.
Mm-hmm.
Or if I say, I'm really tired and I shouldn't have spoke to you like that, it completely changes everything. And I'm
Oh,
sure
it
you would know
does.
that.
Yep. Words, man. Words are magic. Words are spells, I tell you. Crazy. Has there ever been a moment where your partner called you out on that therapist part of you that wanted to defend, while the human part knew you that they were right
Yes,
all the time, huh?
definitely,
Right.
definitely.
Yeah.
And more so, probably more so by my kids than my partner, surprisingly. Like, I think my kids, sometimes with my teenage daughter, although she hasn't done it for a while, so maybe either she's accepting me more or I'm getting a bit better. But say, for
Or
instance,
both.
I had done what parents do and spoken a bit more sternly than what I would like to have, and then I've felt that parent guilt that a lot of us get. That most
Hmm.
people just like, well, I'm the parent, so I'm not going to ever apologize to my kids, or I'm never gonna let them see a piece of weakness. And for me to say, hey, darling, dad shouldn't have probably spoke to you like, or dad shouldn't have spoke to you like that. There's a lot of parents out there that would never ever admit any sort of fault because they've got to hold the hierarchy in the relationship.
Right.
Well,
Plus,
I
I
was
mean,
almost
it's also something that they learned growing up.
definitely.
Yeah.
It's fear. It really comes back to fear again,
Right.
I think. Yeah, so I would go in and I'd be say, hey, darling, and I'd try and give her this counselling perspective of why I just removed the phone and yelled at her for not cleaning her room after asking her for 2 days. And then it was, don't treat me like a client, just treat me like a dad. You don't need to explain why you yelled at me. I didn't clean my room, and that's it. Like it was a real, so I think for them, it was more just, I want you. I don't need the I don't need the justification. I don't need the understanding as to why you raise your voice. I don't need, where for me, because I live and breathe this stuff and it is a way
Hmm.
of life, it's very hard for me not to make that. And that's part of the amends process of Alcoholics Anonymous and Narcotics Anonymous and any of these 12-step programs. Catching ourselves where I would say to people, these sort of, I use it as the 3 steps to change. We catch ourselves after the event and we make amends enough for it, and we'll get to a day or a night or whenever an event, and we'll catch ourselves mid argument or we'll catch ourselves mid behavior. So that's the other day when I'm running late for work and the car parks are full, and I'm driving around and I've got my indicator on, and
Hmm.
then an old person comes and pulls into the car park in front of me, and I'm inside. I'm fucking raging. I'm Thankfully I've gone past the honking the horn and swearing and carrying on like an idiot because I'm in this protective tin can, and that's been a long time. That was probably in my 20s or 30s that stopped. But
Hmm. Good for you. Because that's
yeah,
hard. That's
yeah,
hard.
it
I,
is.
I still lose my shit sometimes.
I'm pretty. I would say the only time I lose my shit is if something's happened that's really dangerous at high speed. If it's at low speed, I'm okay because It's not going to kill me. I've had a few crashes in my drag racing
Hmm.
life, and I guess it's only really when it's at high speed and it's dangerous that I think that I ever really react. And even then, it's more out of fear. It's more that backed into a corner reaction. But what
Hmm.
happened in that instance with that old man, I think he was so kind of old, let's just say the word old, and unaware of his surroundings
Hmm.
that he really didn't see me. Part of me likes to think, I was there first. You're just an arrogant prick. How fucking dare
Right.
you take my car parking spot like I own it? It's
How
two
dare
white lines
you?
painted on a piece of asphalt. And then there was a bit of forgiveness that, oh, well, maybe one day when I'm older and I'm not as aware and I'm not as my reflexes aren't what they are, maybe someone will give me the compassion that I've just
Right.
shown this man. And I think that's how I'm trying to live my life.
I love that. That's really good. So why do you think humans repeat painful patterns even when they consciously know better?
Do we consciously know better, or do we intellectually know better, not experientially know better?
Ooh, good one.
Deep. We all know we should eat better. We know we should sleep better. We know we should drink less coffee. We know we
Yeah.
should exercise more. We know we should get more sunshine. We should get off our
Coulda, woulda,
phones.
shoulda, right?
So I think there's a part of us, Bruce Perry, who was a child psychologist, which I love some of his stuff. He says that humans, we prefer the misery of certainty over the uncertainty.
Mm-hmm.
So we prefer the misery of the certainty over the fear of the uncertainty. Over the uncertainty
Mm-hmm.
is more misery inducing for us than it is just repeating the same patterns that we have. So I think
Right.
that's why, and I think there's a level of. I was thinking about this the other day actually because I'm sort of wondering why, as humans, we need to suffer or we love to suffer. Like it's even if things are going okay, we'll all of a sudden throw ourselves. I won't. I'm just
We
you know,
find a way.
yeah, we'll throw ourselves into a 12-week boot camp, and we'll push our bodies so hard in the gym that we're sore and we're achy and we can't walk and we're so exhausted. Yet we feel really good. It's almost like in this suffering is like the caterpillar going into into the cocoon. There's a level of suffering. I think we equate suffering with growth, and I think maybe there's an unconscious drive to grow, which
Mm-hmm.
then makes us feel like we need to suffer.
Right. Well, and the thing is too, it's like as humans, humans are so afraid of the unknown. And it's like, yeah, we're suffering, we're miserable, but at least that's familiar. We know we have learned how to maneuver within. It's like, the dangerous comfort zone. We have learned to maneuver within that to keep the pain to a minimum.
Mm,
And then it's like, even if we can see, oh my God, this is so much better over there, but oh my gosh, what if this is what if, and you do the what if down the
mm,
downward spiral, and it's like, just jump, Jesus. And it's like I talk to my clients too, and it's like, so what are you really afraid of? And they look at me and it's like, uh, 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 and it's like, but once they realize, it's like at the end of the day, it's just fear, and then
mm,
we explore the fear. And that's what I suggest to anybody. It's like anybody watching this or listening to this is like, what are you really afraid of? What's the worst that can happen? Can you die? No. Okay. Then what's really stopping you? What are you afraid of? Become that
mm,
detective. And a lot of times to the end, we keep going. It's like the fear of dying. Okay.
mm.
But really, here's a fun fact. We all die. Well, our bodies die. It's just how it is. So enjoy while you are in there. There's a poem out there. It's called The Dash, I believe. Have you heard about that?
Yeah.
And it's not just like what's before and after. It's like that dash, and it's like you're living on that dash right now. So enjoy right back to the right now. We
Mm.
have right
Where we
now.
started.
Back to that. But I really think that's what that is. It's like people are so afraid of the unknown, that they rather stay, in the miserable familiar and maneuver within that.
And I think there's that entity inside of us, that protector that comes out of childhood, that when we're born,
Mm-hmm.
there's protective mechanisms in the body, which are, things like we have hairs in our nose and we have certain things in our lungs. And if we get sick, our body knows to put us into a fever to sweat it out. And if we cut our arm, there's the blood coagulates. Like there's all these they're miracles, right? Inbuilt inside of us that protect us. Well, the psyche, it also has an inbuilt protective mechanism, which, as a little kid, it almost starts to build this wall so that we don't feel the pain of childhood. And this is why it's so important, even if
Mm-hmm.
childhood was somewhat good, because there's some sort of wall there. Whether that wall was doesn't they're all different, but that egocentric wall that gets formed, I think we get trapped pretty quickly. And
Oh,
that's again when I
absolutely.
do therapy, it's like who a lot of the time it's who's speaking right now. When I start to push and then the reaction comes back, because if your therapist doesn't piss you off every now and again, you've got the wrong therapist. You're paying them to be a cheerleader,
Not wrong.
or you're paying them to piss you off. Like, are you paying them to dismantle you? And that's what Carl Jung says. The job of the therapist is almost to support the ego while the
Hmm.
egocentricity strips away. Literally, it's to support the ego so that that sort of caterpillar butterfly metamorphosis
Oh, say
can.
that 3 times fast now.
Yes, no thanks. I'm just well getting it out. It's a bit like phenomenon. There you go. Phenomenon.
Love it.
So yeah,
Hey,
I think it's about dismantling those walls. Literally, we have walls up, and even if childhood was somewhat good, there's always places where we've built these walls because it comes out of school, or it comes out of getting bullied, or it comes out of falling in love with a girl or a boy that didn't like you at school. It comes out of
or
not getting
just
picked.
watching TV. I mean,
Yeah,
come on.
yeah.
Or listening to the radio or whatever, I mean, it's like, yeah, it's just, oof, so crazy. I have a question for you. You said you had kids. How did
Yes, I
becoming
do.
a father expose parts of yourself you thought you had already healed?
Mm. How does it? Not how did it? How does it?
Every
My
day, right?
daughter,
It's like
yeah, like every
my
day.
son is 32, and it's like the other day I was like,
And I think also getting curious. This is what I'm really trying to be as a parent is curious. Is trying to, um, for me, my alcoholism took off really quickly. So by the time I was my daughter's age, she's 15, I was already trapped in alcoholism. Not really
mm,
drug addiction. It wasn't really, but for me, that the alcohol took me to the cleaners. Any chance I could get to get out of it, I was looking to get out of it. And I grew up in a home where it was sort of pretty the norm.
right.
But I'm at a point now where, because our legal drinking age in Australia is 18, not 21 like you guys. So the legal
That's
age
a
to
whole
drink
nother
is,
show. Let's not get into that.
yeah. What,
Hey,
that
I
you
grew up in
guys are going to
Germany.
wait
First
three
time I
years
was
or
drunk,
that?
I was 3. So,
Yeah,
because beer is a food group over there.
yeah, exactly. Well, it's like in Russia. In Russia, with Alcoholics Anonymous, for a long time, in Russia, if something is under 10% alcohol, I think it might have changed recently, but if something was under 10% alcohol, it was classed as alcohol free.
Mm,
And so but where I was going with this was, how does it shine a light on it? That now she went to her first bonfire the other week, and she said, "Oh, Dad, could I? All the kids are going to have kids. All the people are going to have a drink. These people are old enough to have babies. Really, technically, their bodies are, so they're not kids anymore.
right.
They go from 12 or 11 as a kid, and 18 over here is an adult. Drink, buy cigarettes, vote, all the things. So in that 7 year window or 6 year window, there's the most amount of change they're ever going to have. And I think a lot of parents, there's this healing of themselves through trying to protect their kids to what they went through. But for me, it's because my partner's, oh, are you worried about, whether she's going to be an alcoholic and things? And I'm almost, again, back to, she's her own person. And
Right.
I don't want to just go, I'm not going to go and buy her a bottle of rum to take to a party at 15. But I'm also mindful that I wanted to experience life as well, and I think we have a real one thing I've honed into my kids and anyone listening to this. I think the conversations that don't have enough around this is really that if something goes bad and you're out with your friends, I'm a safe person to call. I've really tried, and when our friends have come, I've said, if any of you guys, I'm not going to condone it, and you're not going to come here and use drugs against your parents' will, and you're not going to say you're sleeping over here and go to parties when they don't know, but
Right.
if you guys are out and someone's taking drugs as you're getting older, or someone's blind drunk with alcohol and you're a bit worried about, let's not call the parents. I said, call me and then we'll deal with it later. And it will be more about education than it will be about consequences.
No, I
Because,
love that.
People die, right? People die because kids are too scared, especially now with the drugs changing in Australia.
Right. Well,
Most people are
not
using
just in
drugs
Australia. I think it's everywhere.
more than drink. Yeah, I can only really speak for what I
Right.
know. So yeah, so I guess that's one thing that I want to be different. Where I want to be open. I don't want to condone, and I also don't want to condemn. So I think it really does come back to how much work are you doing on yourself. And there's not enough therapists in therapy, right? For anyone out there that's a therapist listening to this, get yourself to fucking therapy, not just supervision. Like what sort of a job are we not? For me, I go to paid therapy once a week, and I know I'm rare for that, but I really do believe in this model. And when I first started seeing my new therapist, this is again where the egocentricity, right? The protective wall
Right.
wants me to feel like I'm the smartest person in the room so that I feel safe. Comes back to fear. So I'd go in there and I'd almost say something to him about what was going on in my life or my relationship, and then he'd respond. And then I'd be in my mind therapizing that, oh, wow, if somebody had brought that to me, I probably would have said this, and why has he said this? And I'm better than him, which I'm not. I'm far from it.
Right.
So now when I go in there, I almost make this meditation of like, as I walk through the door, I am a client and I'm not a therapist and I know nothing. And I think that's what I want to lead into. Kids, partners, if we got curious rather than reactive and defensive,
Mm-hmm.
fuck, things would change. Like if we got curious with our with our
Curiosity is
partners,
always better than anything.
hmm,
That's why I love like with kids. It's like it's like watch kids. They're curious about everything. It's like that child wonder, and
hmm,
it's like wow, this is so cool, and they ask so many questions.
yeah,
And it's like and it's what I tell my clients too. It's like you know what, if when in doubt, or even in just a teeny tiny speck of doubt, ask a question.
hmm,
So I don't want to look stupid. Okay, so you want to suffer and you want to feel stupid by not asking and getting clarity here? I mean, that's stupid.
yeah. Don't want to look stupid. I'm just going to feel stupid for the next 3 days because I
Right.
didn't want to look stupid for 1 second.
So that is stupid, my opinion. So anyway, I mean, yeah, people are interesting. Humans are funny. So, what's the hardest truth that you've had to admit about yourself?
Oh,
You can tell me, Lanya.
no, that's not true. The reason why I was that is there only one? I guess coming back to that, um, that there's never any there. I think what I've done in my life, I've always been disillusioned that when I got to here, everything's going to be great. And for me, it was in Australia, and I'm sure everywhere, that there was this: you get a house, you pay it off. Once you're mortgage free, you've made it, and then life becomes easy.
Hmm.
I achieved all those things by 39, mortgage free, all the things I set out to achieve. Had the toys, had the cars, had the Harleys, had a partner, had kids, had my house paid off, had a passive income, had everything, and my life fell apart because I think that I was always really like, oh, when I get the house finished getting built and I move in, everything's going to be okay. Or when I get through this, and I see it all the time with my clients. They're like, we're so fucking busy. Like, there's no time for each other, but it's just this next 3 months of work why I'm so busy, or it's just until I do this 12-week Pilates challenge that I've got to get up at 5 a.m. every morning and go to Pilates, even though I've got 2 kids. Or the man might be, I've just got to do this, whatever it might be. And again, it comes back to what we started with, that it's always for me. I think that's the biggest thing I struggle with. That I've really got to remember that there is actually no there. There is, and I know it's cliche again. Back there is only the journey, not the destination. Because if I'm worried about the destination and it's all I'm focused on, I'm really missing the journey.
Right. I mean, you should still know like the general direction. I always tell it's like that way, you know. But you're open to whatever comes along the way, and you're exploring, and it's like, oh, it doesn't have to be this straight line. It's like, no, you can do this, but you still go that way.
Yeah, don't get on the plane to Australia and end up in Austria.
Well, I mean, it happened, because, people.
It's happened a lot. From what I don't know if he was just making a joke, but the Philip that I've been speaking to, he's from Austria. He said
Mhm.
the desk for people that have ended up in the wrong country is actually almost as big as the desk in Austria that it is in the main airport there for the
Well,
people who have got the Austria. And he could be pulling my leg, and I'm telling you this nationally, and people are thinking from Austria, how could that Australian guy be so fucking stupid?
are you
Like,
stupid? No.
guess I'm getting curious, and yeah, he seemed like a pretty genuine guy, and maybe I should research that before I say it again. See, that's what I try and do. I try and catch myself, and then if I am wrong, I don't blame him because maybe everybody has a different sense of humor, and
Right,
maybe that was a joke that I misinterpreted, right? So that's a good example of how then I could get angry with him
right.
because he's made me look stupid when I maybe just misinterpreted. I wasn't curious that actually that was humor, and sometimes you sort of Europeans can be have a different sense of humor to us.
Hey,
The
what are you
structure's different.
saying? But no, I mean, but people, I mean, but that's why it's like, ask questions,
Mm.
clarify, be curious, always is like, hey, can you clarify that there's nothing wrong with it? It's like, you know what? My thing is like, so I was diagnosed with MS like, I don't know how long ago. So in my MRI, I literally have black dots on my brain. So when I tell people, it's like, hang on a second, my dots are not connecting. I mean, they're really not connecting. But it's like you can use stuff like that. I mean, I'm not saying it's like you use whatever, but it's like you can make light of it. It's like, hey, you know what? My elevator's not going all the way up right now. It got stuck somewhere. Can you clarify that for me, please? I mean, it's like ask the question. And people are so like, oh, absolutely, no problem. And it's so much better than to ask the question to get the clarification than go have this miscommunication where all this anger festers and then yeah, that's another show.
Mm. Next time.
That's a whole nother podcast. But anyway, let's see. Oh, what part of yourself are you still learning to sit with instead of fixing it?
Silence,
That's big. That's big.
especially in the therapy room.
Mm, yeah.
I The uncomfortable silences, I feel like I've got to feel them. So that's something that I'm really trying to work on. It's almost like I'm trying to rescue the client from their feelings in the moment when I should. Yeah, it's something I'm working on. If I allow more space, I think more will come up,
Mm-hmm.
and for my own self included.
Right. And I mean, it's not just like when we're with our clients and stuff, but it's like I've noticed that so many of the people, they're so afraid of that silence that they have to fill the space with noise, whether it's music or TV or talking or something, and it's like it's just quiet, just be quiet.
And for
That's
me,
my
I
thing.
think it was when I've really unpacked a lot of my childhood. My family was pretty chaotic, but I had a TV in my room for the whole time. I can't remember a life as a kid without TV in my room, which would
Hmm.
go 24/7. So I would, and this isn't a. I don't think parents knew the effects of really programming, subconscious programming, and what we absorb. But so for a lot of years, until well into my 20s, maybe even just yeah, no, probably mid 20s to late 20s, I could not sleep without the TV going. So for
Hmm.
me, it's funny how that stuff comes up now. I haven't thought about that for a few months, but you asked
You're
me about
welcome.
that, and it's like I want to, yeah, exactly. I'll checks in the mail, therapy on air. If you're curious, and that's for anybody listening. If you come onto a podcast wanting to be the smartest person in the room, I come on here to think, wow, what I've got an hour with this person. What can I learn from them about them? But also, what can I learn about myself?
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it's pointed out again that silence. I knew that I struggled with the silence, but I really what I'm taking from today, and literally the check is in the mail because it's like, yeah, wow. Any wonder why the silence is harder for you now when if you woke up in the middle of the night as a 4-year-old kid, the TV was going in the background and you were soothed by that. And who knows what sort of crappy TV was going on in the middle of the night when kids shouldn't be in front of the TV.
Right.
And on the other hand, this isn't bagging out my parents because then it could be somebody could, oh, wow, your mother's this or your father's this. No, we do the best we can from
Mm-hmm.
what we know and from where our level of consciousness was. Maybe because the house was so chaotic and there were so many arguments and stuff going on. Maybe that was a
Right.
way of turn the TV up and protect him from that. So maybe the intention wasn't how it looks. And if I
Mm-hmm.
asked my mum, she probably couldn't answer it because I don't think she would know.
Yeah. No, seriously. I love silence. Now these days, it's like I just love silence. My husband's like, "How can you stand it?" It's like, "Oh, but it's so nice." So I have a question for you. Do therapists internally scream, "Oh, come on," sometimes, or is it just the rest of us?
Mm, don't know. I think it's a good question.
Right?
I think there's sometimes where I've worked with a client for a while and they're really their barrier is so strong. That's the one where it's and I'll just say to them, I don't actually don't know where to go. I'll be honest and say I don't know where to go in this conversation.
Mm-hmm.
I I've tried so hard to push that barrier down of yours and I don't know where to go.
See, that's such a polite way of saying that.
Mm.
I like that. I need to do that. Because I'm like, I look at, sometimes I look at clients, I'm like, really? Are you serious? Are you for real right now? But
And
then
they
I'm
probably
not,
look at us the same and think,
right?
fuck, what am I paying you all this money for?
I know. But it's like, but I mean, I tell people, it's like, hey, just so you know, I really don't have a filter. So,
Mm.
you know, what you see is what you get. But
Yeah.
it's all good. So if someone is listening or watching this, it's slowly realizing they may be repeating the same pain in different packaging. Where do they even begin? What should they do?
I'd like to say get in contact with someone
Call
like
me.
me, but there's a lot. There's so much information. Well, buy this book would be one good one,
Hmm.
but secondary to that. So yeah, of course that's what you do. No, you either seek out a community, seek out a person if you can afford therapy. There's like we don't put it this way. We don't have an excuse anymore. I don't think
Right.
our parents had an excuse. I don't think we do. There's podcasts again by the same name. I've got a podcast which hopefully you'll be on, and
Send me the link.
I'll send you the link. There's so much information out there, and I think try one thing I would say is go into it with an open mind. Go into it with an open mind. I'm so passionate about this that I'm just putting together a group that I'm calling it almost like the gym for the soul, where it's a monthly membership of 80 Australian dollars, which is probably 60 for you or 50, which is almost like going to the gym. We do so much for our bodies and we do so much for other things,
Right.
but we don't do any preventative maintenance on ourselves. So it's almost like a place when my goal is maybe there'll be 50 people on there at one point. I've already had a fair few people sign up to it in a week where you come on, there's an hour and a half, there's a bit of a quote or a teaching or a reading or someone sends something in. And we all get to, in a way, not trauma dump our stuff into the room and start going into childhood and crying. Like
Right.
it's
Right.
not a space like that because a lot of
None of
people
the
are like,
boo-hoo-hoo poor me stuff.
no, it's more about a community of people that are all
Hmm.
trying to do better, that are all, because the best way to do this is to dismantle it slowly. If you dismantle it too quickly, you'll probably end up in a psych ward. Spiritual awakening and a psychosis, there's a fine line between either one of those two things.
No kidding.
There's many a person in a psych ward right now, medicated, that's had a spiritual awakening, and no one around them could support them. And that was my story when I was admitted a few times in my early sort of teens and mid teens, and then my last one in my mid early 20s was
Hmm.
I was having a spiritual awakening, drug induced and alcohol induced sometimes, and nobody could help me. Nobody knew. Nobody had the language that I needed.
Right. Yeah.
But I
And I
need,
mean, it's true. It's like reach out for
yeah,
somebody. It's like you're not alone. You don't have to do it alone. We think we do, and we think we have to figure it all out. No, you don't. No, you don't. There's so many people out there who are more than willing and to listen. And sometimes it's all we need is just somebody to listen. Because when it's like for me, I found, when I say something out loud and I hear it, I was like, ew, well, and then a lot of times, the answers and the solutions present themselves right then and there. But it's like, just getting it out, and it's like you don't have to do it alone. You don't.
and that's Einstein right there. Energy equals matter, and matter equals energy. When it's in our mind, when it's in our brain, it's still in the form of energy. When we speak it out, or we write it out, or we dance it out, and all tribes and communities, and before we've ended up where we are now, they've
Yep.
always had rituals that have brought this stuff out, right? Like,
Hmm.
and now we've lost all that, but that people don't understand what therapy is about. It is
Right.
literally, like you said, it is sometimes when I go to an AA meeting, 25 years sober, which I'll go tomorrow morning because I help run one.
That's awesome. So congratulations on that,
Thank
man.
you. I love the community. I love the way of life. I wish more people, that's why I'm setting this group model up. I wish more, because people say to me, 25 years, why would you get out of bed early on a Saturday morning and go to a meeting? It's like, I go there, a bit like today. I can take away from today, wow, part of the reason for the silence is the TV in the room. I knew those two things, but I don't think I'd equated them together. And this is where if you go, wherever you go, if you get curious, you'll learn something.
Yes, very
So
much
that's
so.
the Einstein stuff right there. That if we turn it from energy into matter, it transforms it.
Yep. Ah, it's like whew, the good kind of chills. It's like, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, Chad, I could talk to you so long, forever, and like, hours. But unfortunately, I have to come to an end. So, any parting words for our listeners and viewers?
Probably what I open my book up with, that your relationships are failing because of your unconsciousness. Your relationships are failing, whether they're work, children, extended family, because
Mm-hmm.
we're all running around unconscious of our own shit. And I
True.
suppose, yeah, follow me. I don't want to be one of those follow me, like, subscribe. But if something I've said on here resonates with you, then you can find me at chadtaylor.hu on YouTube, on Instagram, on TikTok. I'm not that present. I fucking hate social media, really. I hate the hustle of it. I've just started my groups. You can get my book. It's pretty cheap. It's pretty thin. I think
Oh, it's
it
a
seems to
quick
be,
read. I like
yeah,
those.
it seems to be getting a lot of, I haven't had anyone say they hated it. I've had a few people say that
Good.
it didn't teach them anything they didn't know, and I'm like, okay, well, maybe you should read it again. You're the target audience, because when I read it, I go, fuck, like, and this, it's one of those books, and we've got plenty of those where you could do this.
Yep.
Somewhere along the way, connection stopped being the default and started becoming conditional. We learned early what was acceptable and what wasn't. Don't cry, don't be angry, don't be needy, don't be weak, don't inconvenience anyone with your emotions. So we adapted. And I won't bother
Wow.
reading on, but it's one of those books, and there's plenty of other books out there that I
Yep.
think if you haven't got much time, you could close your eyes and open a 20 page once you've read it through. So, yeah, and for anyone out there, I'd love to have you on my podcast. I'm really in, let's build up
How
smaller
can
people,
people reach?
right?
What can people do to get on your podcast? Or what should they do?
Just follow me on Instagram or TikTok and send me a message. I'll get them in contact with my book, either the audio book, or I can give them a discounted, uh, get them the ebook. So really,
Okay.
I do ask a few questions just about my book because of the style of podcast. It's short and sweet, 15 to 25 minutes. And yeah, I'd love to see if anyone out there would like to experience what I do in these groups. I'd really love to see you there as well. And there I'm on Patreon. But you find that through my website, probably the easiest.
What's your
Chad,
website?
chadtaylorpsychotherapy.com.au.
Nice.
I'll
Easy
send you
peasy.
those links.
Okay.
Thanks
Easy
for having
peasy.
me.
I like it. No, thank you so much for being here. And wow, so good. So good. I love it. I love
I
it.
get to
Thank
go on experience my day now, learning something about myself and learning something about you.
There you go. We always learn. Never
It's a
stop
win.
learning, guys. You never
Yeah.
know. You might get the next, like, because one thought can like spark a million others. You never know. So thank you all so much for tuning in. Thank you, Chad, for being here. And we'll be back next week with a new guest, new topic, and just remember, um, normal is optional, masks are necessary, and you belong. And we'll see you next week. Bye. Thanks for listening to Home of Misfits by Matters of Perspective. You belong.